Hi, hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can fully automate your blog posting and posting on social media. When I'm saying fully automated, I'm really serious. As you will see, once you set up this workflow, what I'm going to explain to you, then you can basically relax because everything will be automated. So what will you learn from this video tutorial? We will create together fully automated blog posts from RSS feeds, from YouTube videos, and from any other sources, which basically means that you can use a sheet, an Excel sheet, an online sheet, paste your ideas, the content you want to create a blog post from, and then basically the tool involving ChatGPT will create for you an automatic blog post. And then, of course, we will also take a look at how you can fully automatically create social posts on Facebook or LinkedIn, or basically on any other social media platforms here. The scenarios can be also different. You can start it from a blog post that you created, and then you're gonna share it automatically on one of or more social media platforms. Or you can, similarly to the blog post, just to paste your ideas on a Excel sheet, and then the tool will automatically phrase and create your social media post. What will you need for that? Basically two tools. Zapier, we will learn, this is actually a tool which is able to connect thousands of applications and create an automated workflow from this application. And we will also use ChatGPT, or to be more precise, some open AI tools to involve some automation and some artificial intelligence in the workflow. And after this short intro, let's get started and let's start the demo. I'm going to show you how you can do that. So for my video, I'm using a real example. This page, aibizadvisor.com, what you can see on the screen is my page I'm currently working on. Here I'm sharing the latest AI-related news. I'm also introducing AI tools. Here I try to make some affiliate marketing business. And especially these articles related to AI tools are gonna be manually created. But the latest news, especially if I want to share on a regular basis, can be automated, and actually they are automated. At least the last articles are automated. So for instance, if we take a look at this one, it was created fully automatically. As you can see, there is a title, there is a picture, was automatically generated by AI, by ChatGPT. There is a title, subtitle, so it's really SEO optimized. There is the content, and there is also information regarding the original source of this information. And then immediately after automatic blog post is created, these posts are fully automatically shared on social media platforms. In my case, it's Facebook and LinkedIn. So I showed you this article. As you can see, it was shared here on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. And what I would like to highlight, that the content, the text is slightly different. You can see they're gun-breaking algorithm, and it's slightly different because we train ChatGPT use a slightly different tone in Facebook and LinkedIn. Obviously, these are different platforms. One is there for social, and LinkedIn is more professional, right? So let's go from there, and I'm going to show you how we can set up this workflow, how it is possible to fully automatically create this blog post. So in Zapier, the logic, the structure is always the same. You will need to create a Zaps, which is basically the workflow. And in a workflow, there is always the triggering action, the first event, which start the process. And then there will be actions, set of actions. And through these actions, you will basically reach the desired outcome. As I told you, in Zapier, you can connect thousands of applications. And you can do that by always clicking to this plus icon, and then you can add more and more actions. Again, you will start with a trigger event. It can be also anything based on your desired needs. We will see how it works. So you can search through applications, and then you can edit. Let's start with an RSS feed, and then there will be an action, for instance, Facebook page action, and so on. This is the logic. This is how you can put together a workflow. And now let's see how it works for me for the automatic blog posting, which will be this action here. So let me open my workflow, my Zap. I click on that, and then you will see how it is structured. The triggering action is about having new items in an RSS feed. I will show you the logic. Then we will create the text of the blog post. So basically the main text involving ChatGPT. You can here see the icon that ChatGPT is involved. Then we will create a prompt for image creation. So basically, based on the text, we will ask ChatGPT to create a prompt for the image, what we will also generate. Then we will need a title for our blog post. Here we also involve ChatGPT. Then we will need an image, a picture, right, for our blog post. Here we will also use an OpenAI tool called DALL-E for the image creation. Then we will upload the generated image to our WordPress folder. And last but not least, we will create the post in our WordPress page. So I'm using WordPress for my web page for AIBizAdvisor.com, as I showed you. So this is the set of action I'm using to auto blogging, and then I'm going to show you the details. So welcome back, and let's continue. We have checked what is the overall structure, overall logic of my Zap, my workflow, how I have built up my own workflow to auto blogging. And now let's continue and let's see the details. So I'm going to click on Edit Zap, and then we can basically see the details, and we can even edit the details if it would be needed. As we have learned, every set of action, every workflow starts with a triggering event. In my case, it's a RSS feed. By Zapier, you have two options. Either you work with one item or with multiple feeds. In my case, I have found several artificial intelligence related news feeds. So I'm going to a few of them. I'm going to use a few of them for my demo. Basically, you need to copy paste the URL links here and then continue. And then, as always, at the end of a step, you're gonna check, you're gonna test whether everything is working fine. So here I'm I'm checking here. You can see that there are some new news in the feeds. Let's choose this one and then continue. Now it's an error because we are just in the process. So let's see the details. Here comes an important part already. This is the point when we involve ChatGPT, when we involve artificial intelligence and asking it to create our blog post, basically. So how we do that, just to show you how you can add an action, just to remind you, right, and how you can find ChatGPT, you're gonna click on this plus icon and then you're gonna type ChatGPT, and that's it. You will find and you can then add the necessary steps. Now I'm deleting this because it's not needed, and I can at least show how to delete an action if it's not needed. Really delete, yes. Okay, and then I have my own, and let's start with that. So ChatGPT, and then you have several events. What you can choose: analyze, classify text, conversations, summarize text, write an email, and so on. So basically, you have several options how you can use ChatGPT. In my case, I use conversation and then continue. Then you need to link your Zapier to your ChatGPT account or OpenAI account. Here I need to clarify this because this is not the ChatGPT Plus subscription, which is something like $20 US, right? This is the OpenAI API subscription, and it's super easy to register. So you just come to openai.com. First you log in with your Gmail account, for instance, and then you choose API. This is what you will need. First, you will obviously need to give your company details or your individual details, your credit card details, just to register an account for yourself. And if you did so, then you can see your API keys. You're gonna create your first one, and then you can create these keys. If you click on that, then you can create a new one and you can use that. As I told you, in case of ChatGPT Plus, ChatGPT 4 subscription, there is a regular monthly fee. In case of this API subscription, it's based on usage. It really depends on the volume you require from ChatGPT. I would say for an average user, for some workflows, it's just a few dollars. As you can see, I'm already using it for a while. I have created several blog posts, social media posts, and the cost is really low. So I would say for an average user, it's something like maximum $10, and then you have used a lot. It also depends on the model. As we will see, there is a ChatGPT 4 model what you can use, and the older ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. 3.5 Turbo is cheaper. However, ChatGPT 4 gives you much better result. So it's up to you. I would suggest for those parts where you really need quality content, quality output, you shall use ChatGPT 4, while for the more simple part, like generating a title, it's enough to use ChatGPT 3.5, and then you can save some money. So that's it. When you are done with your OpenAI account, then you can link it with Zapier, once, and then it will be basically working. And then here comes the point. Here is the action. First of all, we need an input for ChatGPT. The input data, what ChatGPT will process based on our requirements. And in our case, if you click here, you can see the different kind of details from the RSS feed, the title, the link, the description, the published date, and so on and so on. I will use the description, which is basically the main content, right? And this is what we need, and this is what we will rewrite. GPT model, this is what I said a little bit earlier. For quality content, again, you're gonna use ChatGPT-4, but you can also use GPT-5. It's a little bit slow now, but never mind. So we will see later that ChatGPT, okay, finally. So you can also use ChatGPT 3.5 or 4. I'm fine with 4 now. Username, use an assistant, not really important, but what is really important is the prompt. This is your prompt. This is the part where you basically ask ChatGPT what to do. And I've been testing this prompt a lot. What you can see here is a kind of masterpiece already. If you are watching this video, then you should have these prompts separately. I've shared with you. So all you need to do is just basically copy paste. And of course, you can also adjust it according to your needs. But for this purpose, it's working perfectly fine. As you can see, I'm asking ChatGPT to create a summary of the original content that keep the essence of the original article, but with a fresh and unique perspective. It should have at least 1,000 words. To have longer articles, longer blog posts. Here, sometimes it's cheating, as you will see, but it's definitely worth to mention that you need a longer article, otherwise it will be just a few words. And then some SEO optimization part, some rule regarding how to structure, how to format the blog post. If you are blogging, then SEO should be very important for you, and it's really necessary to ask ChatGPT to format your blog post accordingly. And last but not least, I'm asking it to be creative and try to resonate with the end user. So that's it, and if it's all fine, then you can click continue, and as always, the last step is to test your action, whether everything is fine. So I'm clicking on test and waiting for the result. ChatGPT-4 is a little bit slower. ChatGPT 3.5 is super fast. However, as I told you earlier, if you want to have really proper result, then ChatGPT-4 is recommended. So let's wait a few seconds. It's gonna take some time, but hopefully very soon we will get the results here and we can check it together. Yeah, it will take some time. Okay, and here we go. Yeah, as you can see, White House partners up with, yeah, H1 tag, very nice. H2 title, it's quite long, very good. Hot take at the end. So it looks perfect, right? So, and then we can continue. So the next step is to create a prompt for image. So we will use later DALL-E, the AI tool DALL-E, to create image to our blog post. But first we need to have a description, a prompt for DALL-E to be able to create the image. And here is the action where we will create this prompt for it. So here we will use the same type of action. So we involve ChatGPT. Again, the event type is conversation, and then click on continue. We need to link the account. It's already done. So we can click continue. And then similarly to the first step, we need an input, right? So as always, we need an input. In the first step, as you might remember, we used description, the RSS feed description. In this case, the title would be enough and sufficient to process. And I also explained that ChatGPT-4 is better for the longer content where you need a really quality content. For image prompt, probably ChatGPT 3.5 will be sufficient. Username, assistant is fine, and then here comes the prompt, my request to ChatGPT. As you can see, basically I'm asking it to craft a mind-blowing visual description based on the title, of course. I'm defining some details of what it should consider. I rely on its creativity and innovation. So as I told you earlier, you should have these prompts, and what you need to do is just copy and paste. And of course, you can anytime adjust it according to your needs. So if all fine and we are ready with our prompts, then we can click continue and then test the step. ChatGPT 3.5 should be faster, so I expect a quite fast result. As you can see here it goes. As you can see, the image depicts a vibrant mosaic of intertwined elements symbolizing cooperation. So quite detailed, quite good. As I told you, ChatGPT 3.5 is also perfectly fine for this purpose. So basically we are done and we can continue, and let's create a new title for our blog. Here again, we use the same action type. So it's ChatGPT, again, conversation event, account is linked, and then action. So how we generate this title? The logic is the following. We already generated our new content, right? In step 2, we asked ChatGPT to rephrase the original content. Now we will use the output of this step, so basically the rephrased content, and you can then find it into step 2 and reply. So this is here the part which was replied by ChatGPT in step 4. So basically this is the new content or blog content, basically what was created in step 2. So I'm going to use this and as an input data, and then I will ask ChatGPT to create a title based on this content, based on this information. Here, ChatGPT 3.5 would be enough. Username, assistant, fine, and then again a nice prompt. So you are a WordPress title generator. Your task is to formulate a concise blog post title that grabs attention and so on. Again, copy paste or adjust it according to your needs and it will be fine. Continue and then retest. Within a few seconds, we should get our title. Let's see. White House partners with AI Titans to enhance safety commitments. Perfectly fine. So we are done and we can jump to the next step. So the next step is to create the image. For this action, we will need to use another type of action, OpenAI, ChatGPT-3, DALL-E, Whisper. So how to find it? Just to show you again, if you add a new action, you just type OpenAI and here we go. This is what you need, but I'm going to delete it. Okay, it's done. And then let's see how it is structured. So after you have chosen the right action type, then as always, there are different kind of event type. I need generate image because I want to generate an image. Okay, here you need to link it again with your OpenAI account. Actually, this is the same like with ChatGPT account, so this is the same account. You can do in the same way, and then let's see what was done. And you know, to generate an image, DALL-E will need a prompt. And if you remember, we already generated this prompt. So we asked in step 3, we asked ChatGPT to generate it for us. So all what you will need here is to come to step 4, right? And as you remember here, the main action was to generate this prompt for DALL-E to be able to create an image. So what you will need is the output of step 3, which is the reply. So this reply consists the prompt, what is needed, and then number of image variation. For me, 1 is enough. Here you can see some different size options. For me, this one is perfectly fine. And then you can continue. Okay, retest the step and let's see what I will get. Okay, here we go. We get the URL, and basically if you copy the URL and paste, then we can immediately check it. Yeah, okay, this is a nice picture. Here I need to mention something. So if you see my blog or my Facebook page, so the images or the pictures are quite nice, but not perfect. This is maybe the only weak point of this model. The DALL-E is not perfect yet. So comparing to Midjourney, the quality of the images are not so really cool. It's quite nice. I think it's for some purpose perfectly fine. I'm happy with that, but I can imagine some scenarios where it's just not enough. In this case, you will need Canva. You need to basically manually add some further pictures probably. But the good news is that DALL-E will probably improve further. So within a few weeks or months, probably it will be also much better, and then it will be even better. So now we have our picture, and then we want to upload it to WordPress. So I'm using a WordPress page and I'm going to upload it to the media folder. For that, you need to find WordPress action, and then the event type will be upload media. Then continue. Here you need to link your Zapier with your WordPress page. For that, you need to install the Zapier plugin, and then basically you just need to add your credentials and the two accounts will be linked. It's super easy. After it is done, and then the two systems will be connected, and data transfer will be working smoothly. So after we added our WordPress account, then the action. Here again, we need an input, right? And then what we want to do, we want to take this image URL, what was just generated by DALL-E in the last step. So here it's step 5, right? And basically the image URL. So this is the URL what was generated by DALL-E. This is what we're gonna use and upload to WordPress. And regarding a file name, it's important to mention that you need unique file name. So my trick here is basically that I'm using a unique ID. So basically from step 2, I'm using the ID, the completion ID, and then I'm saying that .png, right? With this method, you can always have your unique ID, because at the end, the name of the picture is not really important, but at least it's unique. So if you use this method, you will always have a unique image ID. Author is basically you can if your WordPress account is connected, then you can choose which is your author you want to choose, and then you can click continue, and then as always retest the step. Okay, let's see. The media was sent to WordPress about 3 days ago. So, okay, it's 2 seconds. Okay, it's now refreshed. So, okay, now I will probably duplicate. Okay, so 10 seconds ago. It's done. Perfectly fine, working fine, and we can continue the next step, which is basically to create the post. Again, we will need the same action type, WordPress. You can find it as we learned, and the event type will be create post. Then continue. Again, your WordPress account is already linked. We did it already. And then let's create our blog post. You can choose which is your post type, whether it's a post or a page. And for me now it's in Hungarian, but it means post. Then the title. You remember this step 4 was the step when we generated the title, and as we learned, basically the reply is the output of the step. So basically here we want to paste the title. This will be our title, what was generated by AI, and the content, you remember, step 2, we created our main content or blog post. So I'm going to add here the reply, so the output of this action. And then what you also gonna do is to refer to the original content. I try to make it nicely in a way that it's a hyperlink format. This is why you can see it here, but basically what you can see here is that this is the link of the original content. So it's from step 1, right? And this is the link. And then I'm referring to the original content. It's very important, obviously. And then who is the author, right? You're gonna choose, and then the media. In the last step, we already uploaded the media, and then here we gonna add that. So it's basically step 4, right? And then the ID. So here is what you need to add that, and then the media will be added to your blog post. Then categories, it's based on your blog. You can choose from the existing categories. It's a little bit slow now, but after you can see here are the different categories, what I can choose from, then text, and then status. So it's up to you. If you want to have a fully automated process, then you're gonna choose published, and then the tool will always publish the new blog post. If you want to be on the safe side and first check it, then you're gonna choose the draft status. So then your new blog post will be just saved for you, and then you can check it, adjust it according to your needs and desire, and then publish it manually. Here I already trust AI and trust my workflow, so I'm saying that it will be published, and then I can jump to the next step and retest the action. And let's wait a few seconds, and if everything works fine, then the post was sent to WordPress in 3 seconds ago. And now if I refresh my browser, voila, you might remember this picture, White House partners with AI Titans. So if I'm 12 seconds ago, as you can see, here is the nice picture, here is the title, the subtitles, the hot take or conclusion, the original URL. So it's all fine, and our workflow works perfectly fine. And if you are satisfied, it's all good, then you're gonna click on publish, and we are done. Here we go. And now we have a finished Zap, a finished workflow, and your blog posting is working automatically. So from now on, if this Zap is on, because you can always switch on and switch off, from now on, basically it will start generating for you the content. So now we created our first Zap flow to auto-generate blog post based on RSS feed. What if we want to create blog post from YouTube videos? So basically, we're gonna transcript the YouTube video, the voice basically, transcript into text, and then use this text to rephrase it and then create a post from that. It's also possible, and obviously we will also involve AI ChatGPT for that. Let's get started. I'm quickly showing you how it can be done as well. So it's a nice feature that you can always duplicate your Zaps and then adjust it according to your needs. So let's click on duplicate. Within a few seconds, you will see it's the copy of this Zap. I can click on that, rename it. Let's say YouTube. Transcript. Okay, some things like this. And then let's get started. Again, in the first scenario, we use RSS feed. Now we're gonna use YouTube transcript. How we can do that? Here we will use another event. So I'm going to change that, and I'm searching for Google Drive, because what I will say is that I want to trigger the workflow with the event when there is a new file in a folder. And what I'm going to do is that I will place transcript files, MP3 audio files into the folder, and then use artificial intelligence to transcript it, and then create the blog post from there. I changed my triggering event. I need to link my Google Drive. Here I already placed an audio file just to be a little bit quicker. So let me link my account. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty straightforward and quick. Then my Google Drive, and then the folder where I'm going to place the files, right? I created a file called YouTube, and then I can test my trigger. Hopefully the system will find the files. Yes, as you can see, there is some result. Okay, so what I did, how it can work. I found a YouTube video about Sky News Australia interviews rethinking artificial intelligence. I thought it would be the nice article to create a blog about, but I wanted to have only a audio video from there. There are certain ways how you can create a voice from a YouTube video. Basically, the easiest way is just to use a YouTube to MP3 converter like this one, for instance, but there are some other ways as well. And then basically you can download the MP3. And what I did after I was done, I created a YouTube folder, and then I uploaded my file. I think it's also important that the link should be accessible by everyone. So there are the settings that everyone with having the link. So this was done by me already, and then here I can see the file. So I'm just checking because I was uploading several files. I'm just checking whether this is the correct one. All fine. Just click on that. Right. Okay. Cool. And then we should create a transcript. So for that, we need another action. Click on add, and we will again use OpenAI. Choose an event, and here I will use create transcription, as you can see. Okay, cool. It's working. Our OpenAI account is already linked. And now here comes the point. So basically, I need my file. And here is the file. I'm choosing that. Language will be English, and the response format can be subrip or text. Let's say I want to have a text, continue, and basically that's it. If everything goes well, then AI will automatically transcript the YouTube MP3 file for me. Let's give it some time. It will take some time. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, it basically working word by word, giving the text, the transcript test, and then we can continue. Then we have this create blog post action, what we already used in the former scenario. So we will do the same, but here the only difference is that basically the input will be the content, what was transcribed by OpenAI in the second step, right? So we transcribed the MP3 file, and now we are giving it to ChatGPT to create a blog post from it. Now we probably need to have some small change adjustment on the prompt, but basically it could even work like this, right? So the only difference is that now our source is not an RSS feed, but we transcribed a YouTube video through an MP3 file, and now we ask ChatGPT to create a blog post from it. So let's continue. That's the step. It takes some time, but as always, but hopefully very soon we will get our blog post based on the original YouTube video. With ChatGPT-4 again, so it takes a little bit more time, as we learned. So let's be patient. In the meantime, we can just take a look what was the original YouTube video. 3.5 million subscription. Yeah, it seems to be a good content. Let's go from there. Yeah, it's already finished. And here you see it's the blog post was generated. And basically the rest of the steps are the same, because then we will create an image prompt again, we will create a title again based on this blog post content, we will generate image event again, upload media into WordPress file and generate the post into WordPress. So I'm not going to publish it. I do not need this workflow, but this is how it works. So far we have created blog posts from RSS feed and YouTube transcript. But what if you do not need this, you just want to maintain a sheet, a Google sheet, for instance, and add some ideas, and you expect ChatGPT to use your ideas to create blog post. It's also possible, obviously, and I'm going to show you how. So as we did before, I'm again duplicating my RSS related workflow. Yeah, here we go. I click on that. I'm going to rename it. My ideas, let's say. Okay. And then now I again will change the triggering event. So my input, my trigger will not be an RSS feed, but I want to have a Google Sheet. So Google Sheets. Okay. And the event will be new featured row. So anytime news or updated spreadsheet row. So if there is any change in a specific Google Sheet row, then the action will be triggered. Okay, let's continue. I will choose an account. I will choosing my account. Okay, cool. I'm gonna choose the spreadsheet. So I already created a spreadsheet called social media post ideas. I'm going to choose one worksheet Monday, and this is, and column name is idea. Okay. Yes, Monday, and column is idea. Cool. Very good. And I will need an idea, blog post idea. Let's say show tricks for beginners, some things like this, whatever, right? Then let's go here. Let's test the trigger. And you see, so SEO tricks for beginners. So I have found. Okay, perfect. And then we will continue our workflow basically in the same way. ChatGPT, continue ChatGPT account. Now, again, the only difference is that I will need another user message input time, so not an RSS feed, but here it was already updated. So here you can see what I need is my idea, and the other one can be deleted. Okay, so this is needed. Perfect. Then I can leave my prompt edit as it is, and it will work. Maybe I will now choose ChatGPT 3 model just to be a little bit faster with the demo. If system allows me, come on. Yeah, let's say now this time I'm going to use ChatGPT 3.5, continue, and then let's generate a blog post from my idea, which was placed on a sheet in a row. SEO ideas for beginners. Let's see what will be generated by ChatGPT. I expect again a nice result, even though I use ChatGPT 3.5. Actually, it can also create quite nice content. Usually there is no issue with that, but again, it's better to use ChatGPT 4 because then you can be almost sure that the output will be as desired. Okay, let's give some time. I'm really curious. And yes, here we go. SEO tricks for beginner, mastering the art of search engine visibility. Introduction, understanding SEO. You see, it's perfectly fine, nice. We can continue, and the rest is the same again. So we are again done. So let's continue and let's take a look at together how we can auto post on social media platforms. So far, we auto-generated blog posts based on RSS feeds, based on YouTube transcripted text, and last but not least, based on our ideas which were placed on a Google Sheet. Now let's jump to the next main topic, which is auto posting on social media platforms. I'm going to show you how you can automatically post on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and even on Facebook groups. But the method, the logic is basically the same for all the other platforms like Pinterest or Twitter or whatever, right? Here we can also have different scenarios. Let's start with the scenario when we are having a new blog post and we want to share it on Facebook and LinkedIn, which from my perspective, the most common scenario, most probably, because if you are a blogger, if you are interested in having blog post, then probably you also want to share it on the social media platforms. So how it works, let's take a look at. This is my Zap here. Let's click on that Facebook posting. As you can see, it's quite a short, straightforward Zap. Let me edit and show you how it works. The triggering action will be a new post in WordPress. So we gonna connect our WordPress page as we did it already earlier. So the triggering app will be WordPress and the event, the new post. Then we gonna link WordPress to Zap, as we learned. So you need to have a Zapier plugin installed on your WordPress page. You need to once add your WordPress credentials, then your accounts are linked, and then it will be working. And the trigger, the post status will be published, and the post type is post. So what is the logic? Basically, when a new post will be published on my web page, then the actions will be triggered. Let's test it. So find new records, and as you can see, then the system can find the post from my web page. Let's give some time. Yes, cool. There are this one. White House Partners, I think it was created recently. Anyway, I will choose one of them and then continue with selected records. Really nice. And then ChatGPT, the conversation, the event is conversation again. ChatGPT account is linked. And then the input, the user message is this excerpt rendered. So here you can find all the options, the information, what you can give, but I want to give the main content. So basically the blog post main content. This is given. Then here I will use ChatGPT 3.5. It should be perfectly fine to create Facebook posts. You can also use ChatGPT 4, but it's a little bit more expensive as we learn. And then let's see what is the prompt. You are a creative assistant tasked with transforming WordPress post into inspiring Facebook post and reach with relevant hashtags. Again, this prompt was already fine-tuned. You can use that. I shared with you. So basically, you need to again just copy and paste here. And if all fine, then we will test it. Okay, let's see. Content. The United Kingdom is leading the way in using AI for global development. There are some hashtags. Okay, cool. Continue. And then we will use a new action type. It's called Facebook page. You're gonna find it when you search, as we learned earlier. The event type will be create page post. You can link once your Facebook account. You can then select the respective Facebook page if you have more. You see that I have more pages, but I chose this AI Biz Advisor, what I showed you earlier, and then basically the logic will be the following. So we will use the reply from step 2. So basically this is the text, what we're gonna share, and below we paste the link from the WordPress link, from the post link, right? And you also paste this link to here to link URL, and that's it. And if we continue, then you see page post was sent to Facebook pages about 1 second. If I come here and refresh the page, then just now the United Kingdom is leading the way using AI. You see, it was automatically generated, and then there is nothing else to do, just to publish our zap, and we are done. And from now on, the Facebook post will be automatically generated from your automatically generated blog posts. So let's continue. After we generated automatic Facebook posting from WordPress blogs, let's see how we can generate automatic post on LinkedIn, because you might want to share not only on Facebook, but also LinkedIn and some other platforms as well. There are certain ways how you can do that. One way would be that basically you just duplicate your Facebook posting workflow. You're gonna click on that, and then the only thing what you would change is, because the trigger is the same in this case, so whenever we have a new post on WordPress, then we ask ChatGPT to basically convert it into social media post, but in this case, then the prompt would be not Facebook, but LinkedIn, right? Because then the tone would be slightly different. And then here, instead of Facebook pages, we would change it to LinkedIn here, and then create company update, and so on. So it's quite straightforward. Basically, the content will be then the same like in Facebook. We just change Facebook to LinkedIn. But there is another way as well. What I'm doing, it's really up to you. Both of them are fine. I just wanted to show you most of this solution. So what I'm doing, I'm just converting the Facebook post to LinkedIn post. So first I'm generating the blog post automatically, then from the new WordPress post, I'm creating a Facebook post, and then I'm transforming the Facebook post to a LinkedIn post. How to do that? I click on that. Click on edit. And as you can see, the triggering action is whenever I have a new post on Facebook, on my Facebook page. Obviously, my page needs to be linked to Zap. This is my page, AIBizAdvisor.com. Yes. Here I see my fresh post, right? Okay, I will just jump to the next step. This is ChatGPT already, conversation event, and you see the user message. So the input is the Facebook page post, the text that was generated. Previously, I'm going to use ChatGPT 3.5, and then basically the prompt is about that it is a proficient assistant, which is basically create professional LinkedIn post derived from Facebook content. So it's transforming the existing or previously generated Facebook post to LinkedIn. That's all what it does. So if it's done, we can, as always, test it. Again, it just, let's give it some time. Okay. And then if it's done, then we can jump to LinkedIn event, LinkedIn action, create company update is the event. It's linked to my profile. And then you see update content. Basically, from step 2, we take the content that was generated by ChatGPT, and we use the link to basically place the link and thereby also show the picture here. This URL has to be added here as well to preview URL, and then the picture to have the preview thumbnail images. I tested the right method is to use this one. So basically here you will find picture. This is going to be used, and data media image SRC. So this you're gonna use to work it properly, and if you are done, then you can publish, and that's it. And again, both of the solutions are working fine, so it's not necessarily needed that you convert the Facebook to LinkedIn. You can generate the LinkedIn post from the WordPress blog post as well. It's up to you. So now we already generated automatic Facebook post based on our blog post updates. Then we transferred the Facebook automatic post to LinkedIn post. Now, what is the next scenario? You might not always want to use your blog post for sharing and creating social media posts, but maybe you just want to maintain a Google Sheet with your ideas and then ask ChatGPT and Zapier workflow to generate social media posts from your ideas. It's also possible. Probably the best Zap would be the first one to work on. So let's duplicate it, and then I'm going to show you the logic, but I'm quite sure that you already know what will come, but let's go through together. So if I click on that, then I can edit again. And then what will be the logic? So here I want to use a Google Sheet to feed the workflow with my ideas, right? So I'm going to change the RSS feed with Google Sheet. Okay. Then I'm going to use the first event, new or updated Spreadsheet row. Okay. I will choose my account. Okay. My spreadsheet will be the social media post ideas, what I used earlier, this one, right? The worksheet is Monday. Triggering column will be probably the idea, yeah. And then if I test the trigger, it will find the record. Yes, perfectly fine. Then I should probably generate Facebook post, right? So here I would then the user message would be the idea. This will be my input. Here probably ChatGPT 3.5 model would be fine, but it doesn't really matter now. I will leave it as it is. And then I would need to basically a little bit change my prompt because I would not need a long blog post, but I'm working on a Facebook post. Now I will just Facebook post. Okay, so of course you will work on that. Then probably the prompt will be not fine because now I'm specifying lots of SEO requirement, but now I just want to show you the logic, how it works. So instead of blog post creation, I'm asking ChatGPT. You see, it's basically understood me, even if my prompt was not really properly made. So here we have the text, and then I need a prompt for the image. So it's fine because then the I can use here not the title, but maybe I can use the reply. So basically, based on the text, I can ask ChatGPT to generate an image for me. It will work. Title will be not needed, right? Then I will need to create the image, so it will remain. Then these ones can be deleted because here I want to create social media post, right? So now I'm going to create and show you. So Facebook, maybe Facebook pages, choose an event, create page post. Okay, yes. My page will be aibizadvisor.com. Okay, so let's check whether everything is fine. So the last one was the prompt creation. So let the system generate a prompt for DALL-E to create a picture from my Facebook post. Let's take a look at. Take some time. Okay. I have my prompt. Very good. Then we can jump to the image generation. OpenAI, as we learned, generate image. You can see after you learned how to do that, it will go very smoothly and quickly. It's still fine. We generated a prompt. We will use this prompt to generate the image. Okay. Let's test it. Okay, cool. So the image is done. Then we can jump to the next step. And here what we will need. So we created the Facebook text basically here in step 2. So I will need this prompt here, right? This will be the text. And then I need an image as well. So the image URL should come here. Okay. And then let's test this, the workflow. I'm also curious because I just quickly created it now. The create page post was sent to Facebook, so we can come here and let's see what was generated. So it was quite random and not really, how to say, well prepared for that, but the result is quite okay. Just launch your website and feeling lost in the world of SEO. Don't worry. You see, it was generated. Of course, it's here not really nice. You can work on that. There are certain ways again how to change that. It's really up to you how you design your workflow. My mission here is to explain you what are the different possibilities, and I think so far we learned a lot. So again, just to review, we learned how to generate blog post from RSS feed, how to generate blog post based from YouTube videos, which are then transcribed and using the transcribed text to generate blog post. Then we also learned how to use a Google Sheet and place ideas, which can be also used for generate blog post automatically. Then after having already blog post auto-generated, then we can from the Word blog post auto-generate, auto-share Facebook post, LinkedIn post, or whatever social media platforms. There is a way that you can also transform the existing auto-generated Facebook post to LinkedIn post. It's also possible. And it's also possible that you generate social media post from Google Sheet, so that you do not take a blog post as a basis, but you place your ideas and then generate your social blog post from there. And now, last but not least, I'm going to show you how you can schedule your social media or blog posting activities. I think it will be also a very interesting one. Hopefully gives you value. And yeah, let's see how I can do that. Probably I would use this Zap here. I'm going to, as a basis, I'm going to duplicate it. And let's open and edit it. What we want to achieve. We want to achieve that we structure all ideas into a Google Sheet in a structured way that, for instance, I want to post on Monday this, on Tuesday this, Wednesday this, and Friday this, and so on, right? Based on what is your need. And then let me name it Monday. How you do that? So then the triggering action will be schedule by Zapier. And by that, you can choose how you want to schedule your activities. Let's say every week. And the day would be Monday. So that's why I named it Monday. And then let's say we want to post in the morning every Monday. Okay, should be fine. And then we can jump to the next step, which is basically having ideas. So here I will add Google Sheet, what we did already earlier, this example. So Google Sheet, and here I'm going to use update spreadsheet row. Okay. I'm going to use my account, continue, and then my Google Drive. The spreadsheet is going to be the social media post ideas. You might remember this one. Okay. The worksheet is Monday. And the row is the second one. This is where I have this CEO idea, right? And then I'm going to test the action. As you can see, it's working fine. CEO tricks for beginners. This is the outcome, right? And then if I come here that I want to create a blog post, then everything is the same except that the user message, so basically the input data would be the idea I'm placing here, and then the rest would be the same, right? So from this idea, then ChatGPT would generate again a blog post, image would be created, and so on. And then if we are done, then basically we have Zap called Monday, right? And for instance, if I will not test it till the end now, just for sake of time, but just to show the logic. Now we have the Zap for Monday, and this is going to be published. Just a second. Okay, I have my Monday Zap, right? And then I'm going to, and then it will, on Mondays, it will generate blog post. And of course, if my workflows are working, then after the blog post is generated, then the Facebook post will be also generated. Of course, you can have other logics that you are creating Facebook post instead of blog post on Mondays. So it's really up to you how you design your logic. Now let's take Monday. Let's duplicate it. Okay. So it's Monday. Let me name it to Tuesday. Okay. Then I'm going to change my every week. It's still fine, but not Monday, but Tuesday. Okay. Very good. Okay. It will be running on Tuesday mornings. Then I'm going to use the same Google Drive, same spreadsheet, but instead of Monday, I'm going to use Tuesday. So there is another worksheet, and here I could also add, I don't know, blog posting ideas for AI lovers, some things like that, right? If I go back, then I will also choose the second row, continue, test, blog posting ideas for AI lovers. And now let's jump to this one again. I will not finish it. I'm just really interested what I will get as a blog post for this. I'm really interested, so let's check it together. I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo just for sake of time. Now continue and test the step. Takes some time as always, but really curious to see what can be generated from this one sentence. Blog posting ideas for AI lovers. Hopefully we will get it within a few seconds that we can see together, and shortly close this video tutorial. In the meantime, I would just underline again that my goal with this tutorial is to share with you the basics, all the necessary logic scenario. Here we bumped into an issue. It can happen sometimes, but in this case, you just come back and yeah, test it again, just to ensure that everything is fine. So what I wanted to share with you, or what I wanted to highlight, that the important is that you understand the logic, how it works, how you can connect the different applications, what kind of logic you can build up with Zapier and ChatGPT, and you can define your workflow basically however you want. I hope that this really helped you, that this is a good basis for you. If any question later, of course, anytime you can reach me out. I'm happy to help you with that. And I think this is a good start for learning what all is possible with ChatGPT and Zapier. From my perspective, it's really a mind-blowing tool set. You can achieve a lot what you could not even imagine. As you can see, in the meantime, the post was generated, blog posting ideas for AI lovers. So ChatGPT is cool. It was able to generate again something from one sentence, and that's it, right? So now you have a workflow for Monday, for Tuesday, and basically you just need to maintain your file accordingly, and of course build up the Zapier structure accordingly. Of course, there could be a much easier setup as well, saying that this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then add the idea. So it's really up to you again. It's just about the logic and the possibilities. Again, the limit is just the sky and your imagination with Zapier and ChatGPT, as you have seen, as you probably understood. There are hundreds or thousands of scenarios which I'm not able to show you all, but if you learn these basics, that I'm sure that you will be successful. And wishing you a good luck with your journey.